So that's these little things back here. I'll show you some more of those. That's books that would fill reading rooms. Now we're not talking about like discarded Hitchhiker's Guide to Nepal here. We're talking about 2 million children books. It's like A is for apple, B is for bear, you know, 1s, 2s, and 3s. You know, magical books filled with colorful pictures and paintings all in local languages. Like, I have no idea what that is, but I hope he does. Next slide. Over 3,000 reading rooms. See, like this school right here, this is great. I want to have one of these. It says, donated by Room to Read, Seattle Chapter 2007. I have all your names on it, and there'll be a little plaque somewhere that says who donated it. It'll be built entirely by that community. So there'll be a nice little plaque there, and you can know that, hey, you know, I created an educated community in the world, and I contributed to a better vision of the world that I want to create in my own image, because I think that this is a great thing to contribute to, and this is a world that I want to create. And this is the result of that. These are school kids waving hello to all of you out in the audience saying, please go to summer school, thank you. Right? That's hope and a future right there. Next slide. Over 1 million children benefited from all the programs. I'm not sure where the fuzzy math came up with to come up with 1 million, but I'm going to trust them for it. I got that off of Room to Read. If you multiply out all the books and all the kids who have access to the reading rooms, to these schools, and the scholarships, you can probably get 1 million kids who have access to one of the books that's been donated by Room to Read. So, now I get to the fun part, which is asking you to create your world. So these are not quick fix patches or free lunches. So this is not like, oh, here's a problem, I'm going to feed someone today and I'll be hungry tomorrow. Or I'm going to read someone a book today and it's not going to be available tomorrow. This is creating education where it did not exist before. This is creating a school that is owned by a community that now creates a future community completely different from the community that would have been there otherwise. And I want our community to be able to create that, and to make that. And you, as a person of this community, are in a very unique position of power. We live in the Western world. It's a very industrialized, information-based economy. We make lots of money compared to the rest of the world. Our cup of coffee can go a long way in the morning, and when that's transplanted into a different economy. So we really do have the ability to create a world that we want. You know, not many people in the world make the kind of money that we make. Even if you're talking about, you know, minimum wage in America can make a bigger contribution to the world than most of the rest of the world. So it's easy to turn our back on the rest of the world and say, you know, it's not my problem, I don't live there, it's not my deal. And that's okay, we can do that. But I'm asking you to decide that I want to make a contribution to the world. I want to do something that's fantastic. I want to leave behind a world better than I found it. Now I want to create education where it didn't exist before. And I want to step up and do something that makes me inspired and makes me proud to make that contribution as a community. Like, one person is not going to be able to do any of this. Only the community has the power to really change the world. Just like the community has the power to build those schools, us as a community have the power to enable those people to create those schools. So this is where I'd like to ask you to think about what you want for the future. And think if this is something that you would like to contribute to. And then, based on that, make a donation and see if we can garnish funds to build at least one school where one didn't exist before. And that's it. Thank you. So I've got books back here. I can show you the very cursory sort of thing. A lot of times, Room to Read works with a governmental organization, and they will say, yes, a governmental, not a non-governmental, but like the government. And they'll say, we want to build a school in this community. We'll identify the community that wants to build a school. We want to help them build it. You know, is this okay with you, first of all? Because you still have to get government approvals to build lots of things. But typically speaking, governments are very happy to have you come in and help the community build a school, especially for less than it would normally cost them. So school has been built, and then year after year, there's usually like a one-time checkup to see how the school is doing. But so far, the success rate has been very, very high. It's like well over 90%.
So they're usually sustained by local?
They're sustained entirely by locals. And so local community does all the teachers are from the local community, and all the main thing that Room to Read provides are books, desks, little bit of assistance, but their main focal point is to make sure that the community can own it. They don't start a project anywhere unless they see that the community has the capacity to own and maintain that school. Because the school doesn't do any good if it's built and then after a year or two, people stop coming. But these things are received with enormous fanfare, and like you saw in that previous slide with all the kids in front of the school, all their uniforms, like that image is maintained for a long time by the community. Anyone else? Come on, give me a question. You must have some question.
So, can you talk about the girls' scholarship thing?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work, actually?
So,
how does, like, which girls get that? And
that's a good question. So the girls have to apply for it. So it's not like they're just plucked. The initiative has to actually come from the family and from the girl, and they have to apply for it through the schools. And then so once the school, again, this is the community identifies the opportunity, identifies a girl who they think would be a candidate for this, then they apply, and then based on criteria set up by that community, they decide whether or not to issue that scholarship to a girl. And they try to issue them in 10-year chunks, because if a girl just goes to school for 1 year or 2 years and then quits and then comes back, it's not as effective. Whereas if a girl has a 10-year commitment and the funds are there to put her all the way through K through 12, or the equivalent thereof, it's much more likely that that person is going to have a much greater impact on her family and beyond, as opposed to just 1 year of education, spot on and spot off.
You've repeated several times the phrase "in our own image."
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you mean by that?
That's a good question, and that might just be me projecting. So that's maybe a reflection of what I would say is my image. Completely different from yours. This is one that I'm putting out there and saying, like, this is what I would like to create. So to me, that image might be a school when it didn't exist before. So I'm saying, like, what do you want your future to be? I'm proposing this image and saying, like, okay, this is a vision, and then now, do you want to help make that vision kind of a reality? But I can't tell you what yours is. You know? That's just really kind of my grammatical mistake. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good point, because I don't want to speak on your behalf without you saying so.
Ask more questions?
Yeah, please.
So by the community, do you mean the municipal government, like the city government? Of
No, so the communities would be like a village, would be like a farming village or a fishing village or a small community of people within that country. Typically, the government involvement is along the lines of, hey, we want to build a school here. You're not going to blow it up when we do that, are you? And they say, no, that'd be great. Then they go ahead and build it. And that's where most of their overhead comes from. Like, they have some salaries for people in their marketing offices in San Francisco, but they also have to maintain contacts with the governments within the countries that they work with. So identify one, communities that want to build a school, and two, ones where logistically is going to be possible because of whatever government regulations are
I guess
there.
more to like